Hello, everyone. And thank you so much, Rita. It has been a truly extraordinary 4 years under your visionary leadership. And I'm so grateful for all that you've done for this country and for the many ways that you've literally changed my life. Before we go on, can we just, if we are grateful for Rita, can we just show her some claps, some hand movements, some love in the chat? Thank you so much, Rita. It's really, we're going to miss you so, so much. So, to all of our volunteers, all of you, hello. You are also so extraordinary. Your dedication and hard work is an inspiration, and it's amazing for me to think about how far we've come. As I've been reflecting on where we've been, I've also been thinking a lot about where we started. So I'd like to spend a few minutes, if I can, telling you a little bit about where I'm from. I am the daughter of immigrants. My father left China when he was 26 years old and arrived in Seattle just days after Mount St. Helens exploded. Basically, all he had was a student visa and $20 in his pocket. So I can only imagine what must have been going through his head as he tried to carve a place for himself in this strange foreign land. He managed to find a part-time job with a wealthy man who demanded that my father call him master. After I was born, my mother worked house cleaning jobs between classes. She grit her teeth to stave off the sadness of needing to bring me with her to these strangers' homes, and she resolved to build a better world where I would be surrounded by toys, not cleaning supplies. My father eventually started his own construction business. My mother got a steady job with the county that had good benefits. And despite their heavily accented English, and although they saw plenty of people who treated them otherwise, they always acted like they belonged. With the help of a strong community, a bit of good luck, and a lot of hard work, they succeeded. So this is the context in which I grew up, with an understanding that America is a place full of opportunity that's worthy of coming to, worthy of leaving behind everything you know. But it's also a place where, in the 1980s in Seattle, a white man could still insist on being called master. Where hardworking people need to hold multiple jobs to feed their families, where there are so many structural barriers to the people living the lives they want and deserve to live. My parents had a vision of a world where their daughter could grow up to become whatever she wanted to be. Every single day, they worked to make this vision real, and they did it for me. Now, I promise I will talk about Sister District's vision, but before I do, I want to fast forward a few decades and tell you about someone else with a clear vision. Her name is Danica Rome. In early 2017, she was just launching her bid to become the delegate for Virginia's 13th district. She'd spent the last 9 years as a local journalist, serving the community where she was born and raised. Although she was poised to make history as the first openly transgender person elected to a state house, that's not what she ran on. She ran on what she knew mattered most to the people who lived in her district, issues she knew intimately because of her experience living in and reporting on her community. Danica ran for delegate for very concrete reasons. She wanted to see well-paid teachers, common sense gun safety rules, a traffic-ridden highway transformed into an efficient multi-use thoroughfare that boosts local businesses. Her vision was clear, but the path to get there was full of challenges. Her opponent, Bob Marshall, he referred to himself as, in his own words, Virginia's chief homophobe. He introduced measures like the infamous bathroom bill discriminating against transgender people. He equated birth control with abortion, and he refused to refer to Danica using her correct pronouns. But day after day, Danica knocked on doors to talk to voters in this district that had let Bob Marshall stay in office for more than 20 years. She had to quit her job at the paper to devote herself to the campaign full-time, so she was going broke. And she tried to stay healthy because even as she fought to expand access to healthcare, she herself wasn't even insured. Still, Danica continued on. And this is where Sister District and Danica meet. As soon as Sister District endorsed Danica, this community showed up strong. We, all of you, organized happy hours, recruited Broadway performers, threw amazing parties, all to raise the money she needed to pay her campaign staff, buy supplies, get her on the radio. You crowded into backyards and tiny apartments in New York and DC and Maryland to make calls to voters she couldn't reach on the doors. You know who you are, made spaghetti for 80 people in California. You showed up and made soup for all of your neighbors in Vermont. You taught yourself MailChimp and Twitter and, God forbid, Slack. You did all of this in the name of helping Danica and so many others like her succeed. It worked. It worked 15-fold with 15 Democrats winning on an unforgettable night on November 7th, 2017. The next year, it worked again in states across the country, and the next year after that, and yes, the year after that too. All told, you showed up to help Sister District win 70 races over the last 4 years. Because of you, 400,000 more Virginians now have access to Medicaid. We increased teacher pay in Washington state, expanded access to free kindergarten in Colorado, and as Rita talked about earlier, we did so much more. But I also want to level with you. We did not get everything we wanted last year, nor in the last 4 years. But here's the thing, neither did Danica. Although she raised teacher pay by 5%, teacher salaries in her district are still far below the national average. While construction is now underway to improve that key stretch of congested highway, they still need to improve mass transit. And now, universal background checks are required and bump stocks are prohibited, but assault weapons are still on the market. This is why Danica is still fighting. Why so many other sister district candidates you worked so hard for are still fighting too. Because they have a vision of what the world should be. And that vision is not yet a reality. This is why my parents kept fighting, and this is why I am still fighting too. Here at Sister District, we envision a country where every person, no matter their race, gender, age, ability, or immigration status, is welcomed and served by its government at all levels, where states are in the vanguard of progressive policy, where robust democratic infrastructure supports leaders from their communities to become candidates and then legislators, where these legislators govern in powerful majorities that reflect the diversity and the viewpoints of the people they represent. We envision a world free of gerrymandering and all other forms of voter suppression, and a world full of economic opportunity, high quality healthcare, strong public education, a healthy planet, racial justice, gender equity, and joy. Yes, this is a big vision, but the path to achieve it is made of individual steps. We started Sister District 4 years ago because we saw the urgent need to channel resources to state legislatures. Many thanks to you, things have improved, but state legislatures are still under-spotlighted and under-resourced, and there are critical gaps at every stage in the political life cycle. Now, we've looked at these gaps and we've identified 4 pillars, 4 things we need to do right now. First, we must win elections. This is the bedrock of what we do, and you, our volunteers, you make this happen with your creative fundraisers, your tireless phone banking, your postcards and texts and social media and more. We have to find every single Danica in every key state, and we have to do everything we can to help them win. Second, we must support organizers. As you'll hear later tomorrow from one of my personal heroes, Tram Nguyen, Virginia's Red to Blue Flip is built on the foundation of people of color organizing in their communities all year round for over a decade. We won the Senate because Black women in Georgia showed us what happens when we actually invest in communities, not just for election season, but year after year. Later today, you'll learn about our new State Bridges program, which will connect you with opportunities to raise money to support exactly this kind of work. Third, we must develop legislators and the pipeline. Danica was building the ship as she sailed it with the campaign, and after she won, it was the same story in the legislature. She had to teach herself how to research and draft a bill, how to get co-patrons, and how to create public support. She and other new legislators did what they do, which is hustle and learn fast. But Republicans don't let their new legislators scramble. They swoop in with networks and resources and guidance so that their legislators know how to advance a conservative agenda from day one. We must bridge this gap and support our legislators so that they can hit the ground running as soon as they are sworn in. Finally, we must educate and empower. We must relentlessly ask ourselves what works and what doesn't, and learn from our mistakes. And you, by participating in our studies and disseminating our research, you help us continue to always adapt and improve. So these 4 things: winning elections, supporting organizers, developing legislators, and educating and empowering, these outline precisely the critical gaps that need to be filled. Our strategy at Sister District identifies where others are already working, but need help, and we partner. Where no one else is working, we take the lead. These are the things that we at Sister District have carved out as in our lane, our unique contribution to making our big vision a reality. What we do over these next 2 years will be absolutely critical for the rest of the decade. If we do these 4 things and do them well, then we will build power and advance our agenda to drown out the Republicans who want to take away our voting rights and healthcare and right to choose, and who are already making moves to do so in the states. We will pass protections for people where the conservative Supreme Court won't step in. We will enact progressive policies in the states to push the federal government with its trifecta to do even more. We will grow this remarkable knowledge and infrastructure we've built over the last 4 years, and will strategize for 2031. We didn't get everything we wanted, true, but you helped us lay the foundation for years to come. Look, I care so deeply about building progressive power in state legislatures because I believe in my bones that this is the most effective way that all of us can elevate the very best parts of America and address its deepest flaws. We here at Sister District, we have a plan, but we can't do it alone. As has been true since the very beginning, you are the key. We need you to make sure your leadership team is solid this month, to start organizing those virtual fundraisers next month, and plan those recurring phone banks as soon as Field is live. We need you here at the summit today. There's still so much work to do, and I'm proud to continue this fight alongside Danica, our Sister District candidates and community, and my own parents. We all keep fighting because as much as we have gained, as far as we have come, the world as we know it does not yet match our vision of the world as we want it to be. The world as we know it can be. So thank you so much for being here and for continuing to show up. We really are just getting started. So
amazing. Thank you so much, Lala. That was incredible. I hope everyone else enjoyed that as much as I did, even though I have spent the last 4 years working very closely with Lala and, sharing rooms, sharing houses, and breaking bread. It still brings tears to my eyes to hear these stories. And I'm so inspired by both of you and Rita as well. I will never cease to be inspired by both of you. So I just wanted to, we have a couple minutes here before we're going to hand off to Gabby. And I just wanted to ask you each a couple questions. Lala, you spoke so eloquently about Virginia and how important our work there is and how it sort of typifies our work at the state level in general. And I'm just wondering if you could briefly take us back to 2017. You and and Gabby were on the ground in Virginia, and it was a very wild election night. Can you just quickly give a little reminiscence about what we were doing way back when and what it felt like with that big blue wave?
Yeah, absolutely. You are so right. It was really, really wild. I mean, I said just now that what happened on November 7th, 2017 was unforgettable. And in fact, I remember sitting with you, Liz, and Gabby in a car, and it was pouring down rain. And we were trying to get to a party, watch party, but the election results had already started coming in. And so we didn't even get out of the car. We stayed in the car in the parking lot using the wireless tethering to one of our cell phones Wi-Fi's. And we were trying to make all of these social media cards to let everybody know that our candidates had won. It was completely wild. It was that feeling really, truly extraordinary. And I won't tell you about the state of our Airbnb that we were staying in DC that year.
Please,
I don't
let's
think anybody needs
never
to know
share that again.
that.
We've upgraded since then.
Yes, we certainly have. We certainly have. And we have amazing, amazing team of staff that does incredible work with communications now. Hello, Sarah, Ariana, and of course you, Liz, and all of our volunteers are just our experts now at getting the word out.
Yeah, I remember we were none of us expected that kind of crazy blue wave, and so we didn't it was so far out of the realm of possibility we didn't even prepare for a landslide. Now we prepare scenarios for every single possibility, but lesson learned. And you, Rita, I remember that you weren't able to be with us on the ground in Virginia, but since you are also have a second or maybe even third job, one could say, of raising two twin boys. But can you bring us back to what you were doing in 2017 on election night?
Yes, so I was the West Coast Sister District contingent. So I went up to Washington State to canvass for Moncadingra. And it was also freezing cold there and pouring rain. And I had just finished the voter packet and it was dark. And I was in the rental car and I was driving from where I'd been canvassing it was a little bit outside Seattle into Seattle to actually meet up with some of our sister district folks in Seattle to watch election results, which we didn't think were going to come in for a while. And you, Liz, had set up text alerts for people to get notified if a race was called. And I was driving in the rental car, it's pouring rain, it's pitch dark, and the windshield wipers, I have them on maximum, and my phone lights up and I glance down and somebody had won. I forget who was the first person to be called. And I was like, oh my gosh, somebody won. And it was all chaotic because I was trying to drive in the rain and it was dark and I didn't know where it was, but somebody won. And then suddenly my phone just keeps blowing up, like win after win after win. So I start sobbing. I can't see anything because I'm crying and it's pouring rain and it's dark. It is kind of a miracle I didn't get in an accident. But that emotion of just feeling like there was a breakthrough, that was such a hard year for all of us. And we all poured ourselves into this work because we wanted to do something to make a difference. And I just distinctly remember that feeling. It was kind of like an emotional barrier broke because I thought, okay, we can do this, we can make a difference. And I mean, that stayed with us. Obviously, even now that feeling stays with us and reminds us that, we can do it. It's hard work, but we can do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember after that night, I said to a friend in the industry, "Oh my God, I don't think I can ever go through that again. That was so exhausting. I hope it never happens like that again." And he said, "Actually, you'll probably spend the rest of your career hoping that it does." um, but anyways, thank you both so much. We are so excited to have Lala. Rita, we are heartbroken to say goodbye to you soon. Although, as I've been reminding everyone, you're just going to be a phone call away as our senior advisor, or a middle of the night text message away. I think at this point, we're going to go ahead and hand it over to Gabby, our fourth co-founder and our director of political director, excuse me. And she's going to give a preview of a sister district strategy over 2021 and 2022. So Gabby, take it away.